Hi folks, I'm Dave. Welcome back. And wow, what a week. Today I just want to talk a bit about what's been going on in the news and work from there. Before I do, thanks for returning. Thanks for all the likes and comments I've been having over the last few weeks. So before we go any further, please smash that like. If you're not subscribed already, and I know half of those who watch are subscribed, so if you're one of those who are watching who aren't subscribed yet, please do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell and make sure you stay notified of any future content. Okay, so let's move on. Let's not hop on about Piers Morgan, but will we miss him? Probably not. Okay, he's probably going to get his own channel somewhere. Okay, we're not going to miss him anyway. If you will miss him, there will be a place for him. But I have brought him up because he fits in quite nicely with what's been going on. Now, my last video, which was Monday, it was International Women's Day, and I was talking about how we as men can help level the playing field and bring about change. And a lot of stuff has happened since Monday, okay? We've had this announcement that there's been 118 women killed this year by the hands of men. I don't have to say this is disgraceful, okay? There's no words to explain that. Okay, and then of course you've had that interview, Meghan and Harry, and of course the subsequent Piers Morgan walk off Good Morning Britain. Okay, all I'm going to say is it all ties in. I'm not going to call names, okay? I'm not going to make accusations. I'm not going to say out and out Piers Morgan's racist, Piers Morgan's sexist or anything. No, okay. What I'll say is, from what I saw in the interviews, is Piers Morgan, from what I've seen so far, is it comes across as being the embodiment of white male privilege. That's it. Whether he does it on purpose, whether he's just doing it to be provocative, or whether it's just absolutely endemic of what is going on and what I've been talking about. And if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see the posts I've been putting up, okay? And it's a perfect example of exactly what I've been talking about, okay? It's a shining example of exactly what I've been saying is the problem, okay? It's this toxic side of masculinity. This man, he does not let anybody speak, okay? If anybody speaks and they happen to speak over him, woe betide, yeah? They rue the day. But he speaks over everybody. If anybody has an opinion, it doesn't matter. He discounts it. If somebody has a feeling, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they're feeling. He has an opinion. That's what matters. Okay, this is the problem. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to say anything about the Meghan and Harry video, but the reaction from Piers Morgan of in relation to the mental health problems, suicidal thoughts, of I have mental health problems, I was suicidal, no one listened to me. And all the other stuff that went along with it, the allegations of feeling that they were being racially discriminated and all that stuff, well, I just don't believe them. I just don't believe them. There's the problem. If ever anybody says to you that they are feeling that something that has been said, something that's been done, is racist, then you have to listen. Because who are you to judge their experience, okay? Their background, their family's experience, okay? Their cultural experience that has led up to that point. Yeah, we all know the fable of the straw that broke the camel's back. Whatever has led up to it, whatever's led up to that experience, that could be that last straw. They believe that to be racist. It doesn't matter whether you believe it to be. Okay, you have to stop and you have to listen. You have to let that person experience that feeling, and you have to acknowledge it. Okay, it's not for you to decide. Okay, and it's the same with mental health issues. if somebody says to you, I'm having mental health issues, unless you're a trained psychiatrist, you are not to say, well, do you know what, I don't think you really are having mental health issues. That is not your decision. You have to listen. You have to let people tell you what is going on. If you feel you're unable to help that person, then just be there, listen, and she's buzzword here, yes, signpost, point them in the right direction. Okay? Not everybody wants that help. Sometimes they just want somebody to hear them. Okay? And if that is for you to say, okay, do you want me to point you in the right direction? Do you want me to tell you who you need to speak to? Do you want this? Yeah, that's for you to do. Not to say, well, here's my diagnosis as a nobody. Yeah, don't get Google out and start saying, well, this is what I think's wrong. No, listen. Signpost if necessary. Be the helping hand. Be the caring ear. That is it. Okay, don't naysay them. Worst thing you could do to anybody is naysay their experiences and their concerns. Okay, and this ties in with what's been going on, like I said, from Women's Day and the deaths of all these women over the last year. Okay, because it gets dismissed. And as I said, those of you who follow me on Facebook, you'll see I posted up recently my little art piece for the day. This is my weed. Okay, so this, for me, summed everything up that I was thinking today. I just put everything down onto here, okay? This is how I feel that most, Western governments are dealing with things, yeah? They're dealing with the weed and not the root causes, okay? A murder happens, we deal with the murder. We're getting better. We're starting to come down here, yeah, and we're dealing with domestic violence a bit better, and we're dealing with the sexual violence better. It's not there yet, but it's getting better. But we're still dealing with the symptom: harassment, reproductive rights. I've just put a few things. These aren't the only things. This is not an exhaustive list, okay? But where do we draw this line? Of course, what we want is this to be cut off as low as possible. Yeah, you think, yeah. My kids walked in today and they said, what's that you've drawn, Daddy? And I gave them a very quick explanation, and I said, where would you cut the weed out? And my kids, well, I'll just cut it off here. Right at the bottom. Cut it off. That came from an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. Yeah. Of course, underrepresentation of ethnic minorities, of women, this is still happening. So, and the pay gap, this is still happening. So we still haven't cut this off here. Okay, harassment in the workplace and ongoing problems even within parts of the UK, debates over areas of reproductive rights and over in the US and reproductive rights. These are things that are still happening now. So we're still not even cutting this weed off here. We're still here maybe, but we're still dealing with knee-jerk reaction to domestic violence, sexual violence and murder. It happens, we deal with it. There's some preventative work goes on, but this is still dealing with the symptom rather than the cause. And then of course I got my kids, I said, well, look, what happens now? You've pulled the weed out, what happens now? What happens to that weed? Give it a few more months, what happens? Oh, it grows back, Daddy, it grows back. Well, I said, what's that at the bottom? Yeah, what's this? They struggle to say it, but yeah, they got it in the end, misogyny. Yeah, this is the roots. So, well, how can we stop the weed growing back? Well, you take the roots out. My kids get it. Why can't our governments get this? Is it just the money, or is it they don't want to see it? Yeah, I don't want to put the flowery words in that I put on my Facebook post. Yeah, but gossamer veils and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, I can flower things up all day long. Yeah, we've got to stop dealing with the problem and start dealing with the cause. We've got to cut the roots out now. Okay, so we're putting things in place. We're always putting things in place in relation to dealing with the problems. We've got to keep doing that. Not stop. I'm not saying stop doing these things. We've got to keep doing it. In fact, we've got to increase it. We've got to keep doing more with these things. We've got to continue to push and improve the services that are there to help women when it comes to dealing with the gender pay gap, underrepresentation, sexual harassment, and domestic violence, and all these things. We've got to keep pushing to improve all of these things. But we need now to start looking at how we cut the roots out from under this weed. This is the only way we're going to deal with this weed, because it's spreading. We can keep dealing with the problems, but they keep coming back, and they're not going away. Yeah, every time you cut it down, another one grows in its place. And we're getting governments that are coming in and they're just blind to it, and they're not blind to it because they don't see it. They're blind to it because they don't want to see it. They choose not to see it. Is it because it costs too much money, or because they have to admit that they are at fault? Because predominantly they are men. Yeah. Even when we've had female prime minister, it's still been a majority male government. Yeah, you still had a woman there that's trying to stand her own in a male-dominated market. Yeah, trying to not look weak amongst the men. But we need those men to say, yes, we're at fault. We need to stop this. Okay? And we've got to catch this now right from the ground, right from the bottom up. So we need to check ourselves, check our own language. Yeah, we need to start looking at the way we raise our children. Yes, that's a given. But we do that by looking at the things that we do, the things that we say. Okay, I was raised in the 80s and through the 90s, so there's a lot of things that we heard, we said that, the casual racism, casual sexism, things like that were commonplace, that are not acceptable now. And there's things that I heard, probably a few things that I've said over the years that I'm ashamed of, and that I would never, ever want to see or hear in today's society, and they are not to be passed on to our next generation. We need to get rid of these things. But there's still things that are being said now. I don't mean the overt stuff, I mean the things that slip through. Yeah, look at the things that we say to our kids. Yeah, if your little lad starts crying, you tell him to man up. Yeah, somebody's got a challenge ahead of them, you tell them to put the big boy pants on. Yeah, if somebody's showing a little bit of weakness, you tell them to stop being a big girl's blouse. Yeah, you've probably said these things. You don't mean it in any way that you feel to be derogatory in any way, shape or form. But these things have a trickle-down effect. They get picked up by little ears. They start repeating them. And they go into the system. They as I said, they trickle down and they perpetuate into the next generation, and they repeat those things. Okay? As I said, there's things the generations before us used to say that we will not repeat. There's things in the 80s that we probably said and did that we will not repeat now. We've learned from it. We know better. Yeah? But there's things that we still say and do now that we need to stop. We need to check ourselves. We need to put an end to it. We need to catch ourselves. And we only do this by doing our own research and looking into toxic masculinity. And I know people hate that term. I'm not saying all masculinity is toxic. That's not what it meant. But these things that perpetuate a way that men should be. You've got to be like this. This is a man. You've got to be a man's man, and all these sort of things. Yeah. Yeah. I read an interesting article actually just a little bit ago that said alcohol is a big problem. That with domestic violence, where there's an increased access to alcohol in an area, there's also an increase in domestic violence. Therefore, alcohol is a problem. Well, that's great, but there's also an increase in male alcoholism compared to women. So why are men more likely to be alcoholic? Yeah, the problem again comes down to men. Why is the culture with men different? Yeah. Oh, he can't hold his liquor. There's a phrase you've heard. Yeah. It's a culture where, as a man, you've got to be able to hold your drink. Yeah. To get another phrase. So we've got to catch ourselves with these things. We've got to stop passing these things on to our kids. Check ourselves. Stop it now. And stop it being passed on to our youth. We can make a change. We can bring about that change. We've got to keep pushing to improve on the problems, keep making things better, but we've now got to start getting right down to those roots. Okay? We can't keep having this weed growing back and having this never-ending battle again and again. Does that make sense to everyone? Because it made sense to me. That's why I drew that picture. Okay? That's my bugbear for today. Okay? So, again, really important for me today, this concept of toxic masculinity and how it's perpetuating the misogyny within society, and how that is the root cause of all these terrible, devastating deaths that are taking place at the hands of men. Okay? We are the ones that are causing it. We are the ones that need to change it. Let's do that now. Folks, thank you for staying to the end and watching it all the way through, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.